God healed me from masturbation too. Yes. Like I said.
Let me ask you a question. Why is it that when some celebrities speak, the internet explodes, but when others speak, the noise shifts? Why is it that Tonto Dikeh's NSPPD testimony didn't just trend, it reframed conversations? Today is not about religion, it's not about taking sides, and it's definitely not about gossip. This is Brand Story School Breakdown, because whether you love Tonto Dikeh or not, what happened here is a textbook case of narrative repositioning. And if you're a creator, a public figure, or someone rebuilding after controversy, there are very powerful lessons in this moment. So let's break it down. But before we do that, just listen a little bit to what she had to say.
I'm 40 years old, and ever since I knew myself, I have had a chronic backache. It's so terrible. The backache was so terrible. In fact, almost all the spas in Abuja know me for that girl that has that back problem. And if you massage her, if you massage her, it's just 10 minutes, you give her relief. We all know her. 20 years, I'm talking about 20 years. If you had seen me, I would do like that, like I had a snake in my body. I would always twist and turn my head just to have some relief. Brothers and sisters, while I was on the ground for Ghana prayer conference, praying for a broken heart, hallelujah, praying for a broken heart, God was restoring things. God was restoring things that was lost. He was repairing my life. I woke up to take my medication, and I tried to take the medication that I've been using, ibuprofen, the highest form of it. I tried to take it for the pain, and I realized that there was no pain anymore. I tried to do like that, because this is how I do. Anytime the pain comes, I would do like that. I just like you had a snake in your body. That's how I would creep. I tried to do that. There was no pain, and I'm standing here with you, speaking to you today. I am pain-free, and we are talking about 20 good years. We are talking about an affliction the devil gave to me half my age. Half my age. Half my age. Wow. I'm not done. In 40 years of my life, trying to survive this wicked world, trying to navigate this world on my own. I had sold my hands. I put my hands on altars. I had worshipped altars. I have stayed in altars I do not belong in. Altars that my spirit was bigger than. Altars that God never ordained for me. Altars that I was supposed to be breaking, casting. I stayed on that platform because I didn't know who I am. Today, I don't just know who I am, but I know whose I am.
Before we talk about the testimony, we need context. Tonto Dikeh is not just an actress. She is a public personality who has lived very loudly. Someone whose private life has repeatedly become public conversation. A woman who has been defined by headlines and not by silence. And for years, her brand identity online has been emotional, reactive, and polarizing. Of course, which is important because brands that are loud rarely get the benefit of being neutral. So when someone like Tonto speaks, people don't listen casually. They listen with memory, they listen with bias, and they also listen with receipts. That is the environment this testimony entered. Now let's talk about why this moment landed differently. This testimony worked because it had three strategic elements. 1. The platform was bigger than her own profile. NSPPD is not her platform. She didn't control it, she didn't curate it, and this matters a lot. Because when someone speaks on their own page, Audiences assume you may have a hidden agenda, but when someone is hosted, the message feels validated externally, and that instantly lowers resistance. 2. The tone was not defensive. This is critical. She didn't fight anyone. She didn't drag anyone. She explained herself excessively. Instead, she positioned herself as someone reflecting, not reacting, and that is the difference between noise and narrative. 3. She spoke from experience, not just from emotion. Of course, there was pain, but it was structured. Now, structured pain sounds like, this is what I went through, this is what I learned, and this is where I am now. Unstructured pain sounds more like chaos, and audiences usually get exhausted by so much of this drama. But here is what many people missed. This testimony did not erase Tonto Dikeh's past. Don't get it wrong. Instead, it did something more powerful. It gave the past context. In branding, context is everything. Once people understand your why, they become less interested in judging what. And this is the same strategy used in celebrity documentaries, public apologies at work, and political rebrand. It's not denial. It's not denying the past, but it's reframing it. Now, also notice something interesting. There was less mockery on social media. There was more of reflection and even silence from some usual critics. Why? Because the testimony disrupted the usual script you always see about Tonto. And the internet is usually prepared more for drama, defensiveness, and oversharing. It was not prepared for composure. Now, composure usually disarms critics. I mean, they will still talk, but in this case, it disarmed them to a very large extent. Let me put my strategist hat on for this. Now, audiences are always waiting for permission to forgive, but they need structure. Redemption becomes believable when time has passed. The person is no longer asking for sympathy, and growth in itself is visible, not announced. So Tonto did not say, I have changed. She showed calm, she showed restraint, and she showed a measure of alignment. And that's why the conversation shifted. But let's be clear, this was not a safe move. Public testimony opens you up to reinterpretation, repackaging, and misuse. But here is what I can tell you. High-risk moments with low emotional often pay the highest reputation returns. She didn't oversell, she didn't overshare, and she didn't overstay. She was pretty strategic about it. Now, one thing I can tell you that are lessons you can learn here is healing must happen before explanation. So don't tell your story too early. Audiences can smell unresolved wounds. And where you speak is part of the message. So you need to choose your platform carefully because credibility transfers. Now, mature brands don't beg for understanding, they demonstrate it. But let me end with this before this gets too long. This was not about Christianity. This was not about NSPPD. And not even fully about Tonto Dikeh. This was about identity management in the public eye. When someone moves from reaction to reflection, from noise to narrative, from exposure to explanation, the public always responds differently. And this is the real lesson. Anyway, if you enjoyed this breakdown, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, as usual, tell me your comments. Tell me what you think, if she made the right move, and what you observed about the testimony on NSPPD. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, as usual, I will see you in the next video.